Good evening, everyone. When they get brought into the meeting, the committee secretary treasurer will read out a staff report on the application. Committee members will then have the opportunity to ask the applicant any questions that they might have, followed by members of public who wish to request or who have requested to speak to an application, and I don't believe there is any this evening. Following all comments, the applicant or the agent for the applicant will be asked to or has the opportunity to add any further closing comments that they wish. The committee will then present a decision in the form of a motion. The motion will be discussed and voted upon. If a vote is tied, a motion will be defeated and a new motion will be made until we have a decision. Notices of decision will only be provided to those persons who have left their names with the secretary treasurer and or the planning division department. They can contact Chris Rome at chris.rome, R-O-O-M-E, at portcolborne.ca, or they can leave a voice message at 905-835-2900, extension 205, immediately following the meeting or first thing in the morning, if they'd like to receive a notice of decision of this meeting. In order to be kept advised of any possible local planning appeal tribunal hearings, you must request to be sent a copy of the committee's decision. So that's kind of the quick protocols for this evening. The first order of business, does any committee members have any conflicts with any of the applications this evening? Not seeing any. From staff, has been any requests for deferrals of applications this evening?
No, there have not.
Very good. So with that, then the first application, when you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Our first application tonight is application number A29-21-PC. In the matter of the Planning Act RSO 1990 CP13 as amended, section 6.3D of the City of Port Colborne zoning bylaw 6575/3018 as amended. And in the matter of the lands legally known as Lot 8 and Part Lot 7 on Plan 34 in the City of Port Colborne, Regional Municipality of Niagara, located in the second density residential zone municipally known as 235 Kalele Street East. And in the matter of an application by the owners Lori and Christopher Maximuk for relief from the provisions of zoning bylaw 6575/3018 as amended under section 45 of the Planning Act RSO 1990 CP13, so as to permit the construction of a proposed covered deck, notwithstanding the following. One, that a minimum front yard setback of 5.8 meters be provided, whereas a minimum front yard setback of 6.5 meters is required in the R2 zone. The applicant is seeking permission for a proposed covered deck at 235 Kalele Street East. Planning staff has reviewed the reference application and offered the following comments for this hearing. Notice was circulated to the public and the required agencies on September 29th, and as of this date, no correspondence has been received. Given the information in planning staff's report, staff recommend that application A29-21-PC be granted for the following reasons. One, it is minor in nature as the decreased front yard setback is a reasonable and measured request. Two, it is appropriate for development of the site since the structure is a permitted use and located in a suitable location on the site. Three, it is desirable and in compliance with the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw, as additions to detached dwellings are permitted in the R2 zone, and the proposal meets the majority of the requirements of the bylaw. And four, it is desirable and in compliance with the general intent and purpose of the official plan, as additions to detached dwellings are permitted in urban residential designation. And that concludes the correspondence for this application.
Thank you. If you can bring in the applicant. Good evening. I think your mic is on mute. Should be a little button at the bottom of the screen that says to unmute your microphone.
Okay.
There we go. Now we can hear and see you. Welcome. Just before we get started, do you wish to defer or withdraw your application this evening?
No, I do not.
Thank you. Is there anything further you'd like to add this evening?
No comment. There's no comment at this time. I would like to make one little correction though. He was saying 235 Kalali Street East. It's actually 239.
Very good.
Thank you.
So with that, do any of the committee members have any questions for the applicant this evening? Not seeing any. And Chris, I believe there was no registered public members wishing to speak to this application.
That's correct.
Very good. So with that being said, if no one's got any questions or comments, does anyone have a recommendation? Angie?
Thank you. I would say in the matter of the application A29-21-PC, legally known as Lot 8 and Part Lot 7 on Plan 34, municipally known as 239 Kalali Street East, that the minor variance application A29-21PC be granted subject to the conditions outlined in the staff report dated October 8th, 2021 for the following reasons. One, the application conforms to the provincial policy statement, the policies of the regional official plan, the City of Port Colborne official plan, and will also comply with the provisions of the zoning bylaw 6575-30-18 as amended. And two, this decision is rendered having regard to the provisions of subsection 5124 of the Planning Act RSO 1990 CP 13. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to ask for a seconder real quick. Eric, if I'm not mistaken, what you read was not, this is only a variance, right? Did you read the ones that the draft proposal that was sent to us?
I read the resolution of the decision.
Yes, that was sent to us earlier today from staff.
Yes. For the minor variance.
Yeah, but the one I'm looking at doesn't have the right information on it. Was there an alternate one sent, Chris?
I'm gonna take a look really quickly.
We received two today.
Oh, maybe I didn't get the other one. The one I'm looking at on my screen is set for a severance, not a variance.
This one is a variance. The one I just read is the variance.
Okay.
That is what we're looking for, correct? Is the variance.
Correct.
Yeah.
So with that being said, it sounded like it, but the one I was looking at was alternate. So with that being said, I don't have any other questions or comments. So does anyone else have any questions or comments? All those in favor? That'll be carried. Thank you. All right, we're off to a good start. Mr. Secretary, whenever you're ready with the next application, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next application tonight is application B15-21-PC. In the matter of the Planning Act RSO 1990 CP 13, section 53(1). And in the matter of the lands legally known as Concession 1, part of Lot 14 on Registered Plan 59R 8871 in the City of Port Colborne, located in the Hamlet Residential Zone and Agricultural Zone, Regional Municipality of Niagara, municipally known as 881 Pinecrest Road. And in the matter of an application by the agent Robert Williams on behalf of the owner Stephanie Thiessen for a severance under Section 53(1) of the Planning Act RSO 1990, Chapter P13, so as to permit the conveyance of Part 2, having a lot frontage of 242.08 meters on Kalali Street East and a lot area of 2.32 hectares for future residential use. Part 1 will retain a lot frontage of 422.77 meters on Pinecrest Road and a lot area of 17.06 hectares for continued agricultural use. Planning staff has reviewed the reference application and offer the following comments. Notice was circulated to the public and to the required agencies on September 24th, and the following has been received. From the Niagara region, regional staff are unable to support the proposed consent application as the hydrogeological assessment is not reflective of the proposed application and has several errors with respect to the calculation method, nitrate assessment, and recommendations. Regional staff recommend the hydrogeological assessment be scoped for revisions in consultation with Phil Lambert, Director of Infrastructure Planning and Development Engineering at Niagara Region. In addition, regional staff would require that the owner enters into a development agreement with the city to be registered against the title of Part 2, to require the implementation of standard noise mitigation measures for any future residential dwelling, including brick facade, triple pane facade windows, and the dwellings to be equipped with air conditioning. At this time, however, regional staff are recommending that the proposal not proceed for consideration until such time as the hydrogeological assessment is revised. And from the engineering department, the engineering department requests a plan showing a topographic survey of the existing surface features and elevations prior to severance. This will act as a record for reference in approving future development alterations. Planning staff recommends that consent application B15-21-PC be granted subject to the following conditions. One, that the applicant provides the Secretary Treasurer with the deeds in triplicate for conveyance of the subject parcel or a registrable legal description of the subject parcel, together with a paper copy and electronic copy of the deposited reference plan, if applicable, for use in the issuance of the certificate of consent. Two, that a drainage apportionment agreement be completed by the city's drainage superintendent or by an approved engineer at the cost of the applicant. A copy of the deposited plan must be submit a letter to the city indicating that he or she is aware of the requirements of bylaw 4748-130-05, which requires the collection of parkland dedication at the time of the building permit application based on the value of the property the day before issuance of the permit, and that he or she will advise any future purchasers of this requirement. 4, that a final certification fee of $212 payable to the City of Port Colborne be submitted to the Secretary Treasurer. 5, that the hydrogeologic assessment prepared by Landtech Limited be revised to the satisfaction of the Niagara region. 6, that the owner enters into a development agreement with the city to be registered against the title of Part 2 to require the implementation of standard noise mitigation measures for any future residential dwellings, including brick facade, triple pane facade windows, and the dwellings to be equipped with air conditioning, and the inclusion of implementation measures arising from the revised hydrogeological assessment. And 7, that a topographic survey showing the existing surface features and elevations be completed to the satisfaction of the engineering department. For the following reasons: 1, the application conforms to the provincial policy statement, the policies of the regional official plan, City of Port Colborne official plan, and will also comply with the provisions of zoning bylaw 6575/3018 as amended. And 2, the decision is rendered having regard to the provisions of subsection 5124 of the Planning Act, RSO 1990 CP 13. And that concludes the correspondence for this application.
Thank you. If you can bring in the applicant this evening. Good evening. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Thank you very much.
Okay. Just before you get started, do you wish to withdraw or defer your application?
No.
Okay. And just before I get you go any further, Gary, since you just joined us, I'm assuming you heard the latest application.
The technical difficulties. To be quite honest with you, I don't know what finally did it after 7 or 8 pounds on various buttons and going back into the Zoom launch.
Okay, no worries. So with that, Mr. Darbison?
Yes.
Hopefully
yes.
I pronounce that correctly. Is there anything further you'd like to add at this time?
Just to speak to the hydrogeological comments from the region. Yes, the report that was prepared is for a future application to further subdivide lands. So in terms of nitrate load, our consultant is going to say that 1 lot is fully sufficient. So we'd be happy to revise that report to satisfy the region's concerns there. So we agree fully with the staff recommendation report and all the conditions that are in it.
Very good, thank you. Do any members of the committee have any questions for the applicant at this time? Seeing a lot of shaking heads. Oh, Eric?
Through you, Mr. Chair. And I'm not sure if this is more to our planner or to the applicant himself, but can there be anything to protect or to can there be a lot grading plan introduced in this application? I'm just curious about the grading and whether or not we can implement that. Maybe that would be implemented at the development stage, the development agreement stage. So I'm not. I think I'll direct that more to our planning staff.
Through you, Mr. Chair. If I recall correctly, lot grading plans are required at the time of the building permit issuance. I could be wrong there, but if the committee wishes, that could be something that is included. Like Mr. Darbison alluded to, there will potentially be future applications on this property where that could be addressed, and the drainage would be dealt with accordingly at that time.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Does anyone else have any other questions? Not seeing any, and I don't believe there's any members of the public that wish to speak to this application this evening. Just want to confirm.
That's correct.
Thank you. Does anyone have a recommendation? Eric?
That application B15-21-PC, legally known as Concession 1, part of Lot 14, municipally known as 881 Pinecrest Road. That consent application B15-21-PC be granted subject to the conditions outlined in the memo to the committee dated October, sorry, I believe it would be today, right? October 13th, 2021. For the following reasons. The application conforms to provincial policy statement, the policy's original official plan, City of Colborne official plan, and will also comply with the provisions of the zoning law as amended. This decision, sorry, I might have switched to the wrong one. My apologies. Resolution B15.
Oh, I think you're good.
Was I good? Okay, I was on the right. There's so many of these. Zoning bylaw 6575/30/18 as amended to the decisions rendered having regard to the provisions of subsection 5124 of the Planning Act RSO 1990 chapter P13.
Thank you. Can I get a seconder to that? Angie? Any other questions or comments? All those in favor? That'll be carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Chris, whenever you're ready, the last application, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Our last application tonight is application B16-21-PC, and in the matter of the Planning Act RSO 1990 CP13, section 53(1. And in the matter of the lands legally known as Concession 1, part of Lot 15 being Lot 1 on Plan 37 in the City of Port Colborne, located in the Lakeshore Residential Zone, Regional Municipality of Niagara, municipally known as 394 Pinecrest Road. And in the matter of an application by the agent Christopher Wilson on behalf of the owners Margaret Ann Scott for a lot boundary adjustment under Section 53(1) of the Planning Act RSO 1990, Chapter P13, so as to permit the conveyance of Part 2, having a lot area of 704 meters squared for a proposed lot addition to the abutting Part 3. Part 1 will retain a lot frontage of 158.50 meters on Pinecrest Road with a lot area of 5,066 meters squared for a continued residential use. Planning staff has reviewed the reference application and offers the following. Notice was circulated to the public and the required agencies on September 24th, and as of today, the following has been received. From our drainage superintendent, the property is in the watershed of the municipal drain known as the Oil Mill Creek. Should this severance be approved upon submission of the deposited plan to the planning department, a drainage apportionment agreement will be required. This will be completed by the drainage superintendent or by an approved engineer at the cost of the applicant. A copy of the deposited plan must be delivered to the drainage superintendent through the planning department for the apportionment agreement to be completed. And from the Niagara region, that they do not have any objections to the proposed lot boundary adjustment. Given the information in the planning staff report, staff recommend that application B16-21-PC be granted subject to the following conditions. One, that the applicant provides the Secretary Treasurer with the deeds in triplicate for conveyance of the subject parcel or a registrable legal description of the subject parcel, together with a paper copy and electronic copy of the deposited reference plan, if applicable, for use in the issuance of the certificate of consent. Two, that a drainage apportionment agreement be completed by the city's drainage superintendent or by an approved engineer at the cost of the applicant. A copy of the deposited plan must be delivered to the drainage superintendent through the planning department for the apportionment agreement to be completed. Three, that a final certification fee of $212 payable to the City of Port Colborne be submitted to the Secretary Treasurer. And four, pursuant to Section 50-12 of the Planning Act RSO 1990, it is hereby stipulated that Section 50 subsection 3 or 50 subsection 5 shall apply to any subsequent conveyance of or other transaction involving the identical subject parcel of land. For the following reasons: one, the application conforms to the provincial policy statement, the policies of the regional official plan, City of Port Colborne official plan, and will also comply with the provisions of zoning bylaw 6575/3018 as amended. And two, this decision is rendered having regard to the provisions of subsection 51, subsection 24 of the Planning Act RSO 1990 CP 13. And that concludes the correspondence for this application.
Thank you. And if you could bring in the applicant for our last application, please. Good evening, Mr. Wilson. Can you hear and see us?
Yes, I can, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Thank you. Nothing really to add, but just sometimes a little background helps to understand. This boundary adjustment resolves a long-standing encroachment, goes back well over 30 years. Very typical story where neighbors are friendly, they get along. One neighbor wants to build a pool. They kind of scout out where the boundary is, and they missed it. If you notice, the cottage on part 3, which has the benefit of the pool and the pool house, isn't perpendicular to the side lot lines. So I'm pretty sure they eyed it out. They kind of measured it out as best they could from what they thought was the boundary, and they missed. It's been a friendly application, friendly situation. The shoreline protection also needs to be included in the property that is benefiting from it. And this severance boundary adjustment will take care of that and confirm that the property benefiting from it.
Very good, thank you. Do any committee members have any questions of the applicant this evening? Not seeing any, and once again, I don't believe there is any persons that wish to speak to this application this evening. If you can confirm, Chris.
That's correct.
As far as I know.
Oh, thank you. Sorry, we got two Chris's tonight. So with that, if there's no other questions or comments, do we have a recommendation? Eric?
Let me just get it back up here. In application B16-21-PC, legally known as concession 1, part of lot 15, municipally known as 394 Pinecrest Road, that consent application B16/-21-PC be granted subject to the conditions outlined in the staff report dated October 8th, 2021. For the following reasons: one, the application conforms to provincial policy statement, the policies of the regional official plan. City of Port Colborne official plan will also comply with the revisions of zoning bylaw 6575/30/18 as amended. 2, this decision is rendered having regard to the revisions of subsection 5124 of the Planning Act, RSO 1990, Chapter P13.
Thank you. Can I get a seconder to that? Angie? Any questions or comments? All those in favor? That'll be carried. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Wilson.
Thank you.
All right, I'm just going to other business. Does anyone have any other business? Not seeing any. Can I get a mover and a seconder for the minutes of our September 8th meeting? Eric and Gary, any questions or comments? All those in favor? Be carried. So with that, I will consider this meeting adjourned. Thanks, everyone.